I can see her lying back in her satin dress in a room where you do what you...
Hey, happy Homebrew Wednesday, and welcome to a brew day with the Dean's List. This is going to be a special brew day today, and I haven't, I've done some videos recently where I've kind of saved the brew days to the end. So this is going to be kind of the main crux of my Homebrew Wednesday. So we'll see how this goes. I'm not big on editing, so if I make any mistakes, I apologize up front. So the beer that I'm going to do today is Drop Temp Nate. I'm gonna take the Dropkick Nate recipe, of which, if you've never brewed Dropkick Nate, you've heard about it probably. It's been brewed all over the world. It's by Nate and Brad Peacock of Under the Table Brewing. I will put their channels Under the Table Brewing. Actually they're split now. You have Under the Table Brewing South, and then you have Brad Peacock up north. I'm not sure what he calls his channel now, but anyway, I'll put a link to their channel down in the bottom in the comments. So I highly recommend, if you're not a subscriber of both Brad Peacock and Nate, you should do that. These guys know what they're doing, and Dropkick Nate is a really cool beer. So this beer is really a staple. I think I've been brewing the recipe ever since 2015. I think probably brewed it at least 5 or 6 times. I've changed up the recipe a couple of times, and sometimes by mistake, sometimes by purpose. Today I'm going to be, when we call it Drop Temp Nate, that's because I'm going to use lager yeast instead of ale. I'm going to do everything else the same. I just happen to have a yeast cake left over from a Pilsner that I just did. I'll kind of show you what I got going on here. So I just pulled this out of the refrigerator, so I'm going to let this get to room temp while I'm hope I didn't break something just then. While I'm brewing, and then I should be able to just pitch it right on top of the yeast cake when I'm done. But one of the things I wanted to kind of walk you through is how I have to sanitize my plate chiller. So I got my plate chiller here. Got it hooked up out of the outflow of the wort. You can see that the outflow of the wort I hook up to my auto siphon, and then what I'll do is I'll run through some cleaner, and then water, and then sanitizer using my auto siphon. I don't know how any of you other guys do your plate chiller, cleaning and sanitation, but this seems to work for me. I haven't had any contaminated beers yet that I know of. Only one time I did, I think, and that wasn't because of this. It was because of my bottle gun that I didn't properly clean. But anyway, so I'm gonna start sanitizing this thing, and then I'll come back and we'll catch up later in the brew day. Cheers. So, like I said, my wife designed my brewery for me, and the beauty of letting your wife do this is, women generally have a better, at least in my family's case, have a better idea of function versus design. Actually, is that right? Anyway, my wife, said, hey, you need a sink right here, and I was talking about doing it on the other side of the room, which wouldn't have made any sense. But anyway, because we had to run extra water. But it makes it nice because now I can just take the nozzle off. I can take the nozzle off my sink, hook up this little garden hose adapter, and fill up my hot liquor tank. So I'll fill up my hot liquor tank all the way to the brim, and then I'll come over to my boil kettle, because I only have one boil coil, so I have to heat up these separately using the same hock. And I'll do the conversion of grain weight to how much water I need. I'll put my strike water in the boil kettle. Once I heat the hot liquor tank up to 171, I'll switch the hock over and then start heating up the strike water to the desired mash in temperature for my mash time. And then I'll by the time I move the hock back over to the hot liquor tank, it's dropped from 171 to 168. So that's my system. Works out pretty well. So cheers. Okay, so now I've got my grain crushed, and this particular grist for Dropkick Nate, it's a lot of 2-row and a certain kind of Munich malt. It's really nice. And I've got my hot liquor tank is heating up. It's at 134 right now. It's got to get to 171. And I've got my 3.5 gallons of strike water in here waiting to move the hock over heat this up and then we'll strike in. Cheers. Okay, so I got the strike water heated, actually a little too high. Now I'm in the process of underletting, so I'm coming out of the kettle through pump 2 and into the bottom of the mash tun, and we're filling up for the bottom. And as soon as I get that in there, I'll stir it in. Sure. All right, so I've got this thing mashed in pretty well, and I need to get to 152. So I'll just crank up the heat in the mash tun, and I should get up there pretty quick. Do that for 75 minutes. Okay, so I'm almost up to 152. Got my recirculation going on, and yeah, sometimes these pumps are almost too powerful. It's hard to get enough fluid going through them because it doesn't recirculate through enough. Anyway, haven't figured that out yet. Okay, so I'm getting close to being done with the sparge. I got about 6 gallons collected. I'm going to try to squeeze out another half to a gallon so I can have a good amount of volume going into the bucket. But yeah, that's where I am. Cheers. Alright, now this is a 30-minute whirlpool. I was going to do drop temp Nate, but I decided to go with the ale, so I'm heating the ale yeast up. Gonna do this for 30 minutes. Cheers. Such an easier whirlpool method. So Josh Hoover's been giving me crap for not filming or posting some footage of the barley wine that I brewed. So here's just a couple of shots that I got from the barley wine. It is right now looking like it's going to be 10.7% ABV. It went from 1.103 down to 10.23, I think. So it's like 10.7. But anyway, for you, Josh, cheers. This thing is nearly maxing out my mash tun capacity here. It was like 19.5 pounds of green. Nice color though. There we go. Come on, hot break, let's go. How's that for a good Munich Helles, boys?